In today's video, I'm going to take you through a real-life lesson that I had the other week with one of my clients. He was struggling with a slice, it was killing his game, and now we have him hitting these beautiful little draws. So much so, we changed his path by 13 degrees, and we increased his 7-iron carry distance by 25 yards. So the first thing that we could see was that at address, he was very much stretching for the ball. Now, there were two elements that we are going to address in this situation. Number one, the fact that he is gripping down on the club quite a bit and shortening the relative length of that club. And number two, the fact that his arms are stretched quite far away from his body. Now, the checkpoint I use to identify that his arms are stretching away is I like to draw a line straight down from the center of the shoulder joint. Now, with an iron, we want to see that that line intersects where the hands interlock, but as we can see, is roughly near the butt end of the grip. So that's a great indicator that he's stretching for the golf ball here. Now from there, as we took the club back, we saw a good takeaway position right here, club setting up on plane nicely. As we then take him back to left arm parallel, we start to see the arms lift to the top of the backswing. Now in this position here, his actual arm structure is very, very good. But we can notice two things. Number one, you can see that he's maintained a lot of knee bend at the top of his backswing. And as a result, that has restricted his hip turn. And number two, if I draw a line straight down from the butt end of the grip at the top of the backswing, we can see that it's pretty much over the shoelaces. So this means that we don't have enough depth to the hand. What we can also see from the front on view is that he has laterally moved through the line and he looks very sort of planted into this right foot. So because of this, the only reaction that we're going to see is a over the top movement, because couple that with the fact that he was stretching for the ball at address, swinging over the top is the only way he can make a divot of any sort and also get some sort of compression on the shot. So what we then see is as he swings down, he works over the top right there, exits very low and left. The shots that we were seeing were big pulls, big slices, a lot of thin shots, and a lot of top shots. So to start with, we addressed the setup position, and the whole purpose of this was to give us in a spot to where A, ground contact's going to become a lot easier, and B, we're not going to have to encourage this over the top movement again to take that divot. So the first thing we did was grip right at the top of the grip right there. Now the next and the big key was actually talking about where should the arms hang away from the body. So this checkpoint we have is at address. If I draw a line straight down from the center of the shoulder joint, it wants to roughly, with an iron, intersect where the hands interlock. So where your pinky on your trail hand is and your index finger on your lead hand is, where they are, is roughly going to want to be on that line underneath the center of the shoulder joint. What we saw when he was set up was that it was very much outside of that line. Now, a simple drill that I gave him that really just helped straight away was rest the club on his body and just shake out his arms and just let him swing and clap together. Do that a couple of times and get that sort of tension-free look to the arms. Wherever the arms clap or wherever the hands clap, that's where I want him to grip it, because chances are that's going to be right underneath his shoulders. And then if the club head is then back behind the ball, he knew he was the right distance away. And then we could always double check it from the downline view when we drew the line on. So once we improved the setup, we saw immediate improvements in terms of ground contact, but the path was still going to the left. Now, how did we go about fixing the path? Well, we had to address the depth issue at the top of the backswing. So again, we were seeing that the butt end of the grip was over the shoelaces. So by increasing his hip rotation, we would see that the depth would then increase because the butt end of the grip would move further back. Now, the first thing we did was actually go, okay, where are we looking to see the butt end of the grip? Because it's really important we understand sort of the zone that we're trying to achieve. So it's anywhere from the front of the ankle to the heel line. So if we have the club in that position, we can go, okay, we've achieved a good amount of depth. Now, the way we went about doing this was increasing his rotation. The more we rotate in the backswing, the more depth we're going to be able to generate. If you don't rotate and try and generate depth, you're just going to collapse the arms, and ultimately from there, you're going to produce some poor chain reactions. So the way that we went about this was through a series of step-by-step rotation drills. First one that I did was I got an alignment stick, popped it in line with the ball, and then from there stood either side of it, club on the shoulders. Now, I just asked him just to turn to his right, and as he did this, I said, right, pay attention to how the trail hip's working. To which he answered that it feels like it's working on an arc, which was perfect. The second thing, how are the legs working? He said they felt very passive, as if the right leg was losing flex and the left leg was gaining flex. And the final one, which was the one that really stood out to him, was where is the pressure in his feet? To which he answered it felt like it was more in the ball of the left foot and the heel of the right foot. Now for him, he was so used to feeling pretty much all his pressure in his right foot that suddenly now, as he did this drill, to feel pressure in the inside part of the ball of his left foot just felt completely strange. But as soon as we did that, that was sort of the penny drop moment for him to go, okay, I can actually work with that swing thought. So then we went, okay, with that in mind, let's now keep the club on the shoulders. Let's just keep the legs passive. So let's just let them do their thing. And let's focus on the weight in the feet. So he focused on getting the weight into the inside part of the ball of the left foot and the heel of the right foot. And straight away, we saw his hips turn better. He created the golf ball worth of space between his trail hip and the line right there. And he got far more shoulder turn. So we achieved everything we wanted to achieve by relaxing the legs, letting them do what they want to do, and by focusing on the pressure in his feet. Stage 3 was then to grip the club normally and just make some backswing rehearsals, again, focusing on the same thing. Stage 4 was then to hit some shots. Now, when we got him to hit shots, we started at about 50% speed and we dropped down to a pitching wedge. Reason being is it's just a lot more manageable there and it gives the brain some time to learn it. And we saw straight away, the first reaction was crazy. The club just went way deeper, path went in to out, and it was just night and day different. Now, just as a good reference guide, I gave him sort of 2 options that he could do in terms of using an alignment stick to help promote good rotation and a good club path. The first option was just to turn this alignment stick at about a 30 to 40 degree angle and just say, look, that's a great guide for how much we want to see the hips turn. So that was the first one. The second one was to grab an alignment stick and just point it at a slight angle just outside the ball. Again, this is just creating sort of this nice channel for him to follow on the way down to ultimately get that path a little bit more to the right. Now, he actually chose this alignment stick variation to where it's outside the ball. It resonated more with him. This one just got him a little bit too confused, so we got rid of that, but it's important you know which options I gave him. So the swing thoughts he took away from this lesson were, number 1, he felt like he was gripping at the top of the grip right there. Number 2, his arms were just hanging nice and relaxed underneath his shoulder joint. And number 3, we focused on the pressure in his feet. We said, right, we want to feel like at the top of the backswing, we got more weight on the inside part of the left foot, the ball of the left foot right there. And that for him just allowed him then to get that added rotation, more depth at the top to then where the club worked from the inside. Now let's show you the end results with the TrackMan data. So let's now go through a before and after analysis. So before is on the left, after is on the right. And the first thing that we can see is a very different look to how he is holding the golf club. Before he was gripping down nearly about an inch, now he is gripping right at the top. And we saw this helped with ground contact, but also a little bit with clubhead speed as well. Now, one thing that we did see him struggle with a lot during the lesson was just the arms hanging away from the body. Now, the arm hang drill did help this, but it's one of those where feel versus real are 2 different things for him right now. So it's just a case that he is going to have to subconsciously think about this for a while, just so he can start to get closer to the body. Now, another part of it is also the trust element. He has been so used to swinging over the top that sometimes mentally it can be quite hard to break this barrier, but in time he will end up having those arms just hang tension free underneath the shoulders. Now, if I take the before swing all the way up to the top of the backswing, let's just refresh our memory of what it looked like. So the 2 main things that we saw was A, quite a bit of knee bend right there, 143 degrees, and B, that the butt end of the grip was over the shoelaces. Now, the goal of today was obviously to increase the amount of hip turn he could generate and also increase the amount of depth he could generate. So now let's take the after to the top of the backswing and draw the same lines on. So as we take him to the top, we can see a hugely different look right there. So we can see a lot less knee bend at the top of the backswing, 166 degrees versus 143, and we can also see some daylight between the knees, which we couldn't before. As well as this, the butt end of the grip is in a completely different backswing position right there. It is closer to the heel line. This is now offering him a lot more depth and ultimately getting him into a position to where he can set up the downswing beautifully. So let's now start the downswing. So before we would see the hands work over the top. So if I play that down for you right now to left arm parallel, we can see right here, shaft is steepening, hands are well above the plane line. Let's now bring the after down into this same position. Let's see what's now changed. So left arm parallel is roughly around here. hands are bang on the plane line, and the shaft is also a lot shallower. From there, if I now continue it down to shaft parallel or somewhere in between these two frames, you can see before he was coming down very steep and exiting very low and left through the shot, versus on the after, he is now shallowing the club. Club head is below the plane line, hands are on the plane line, and as he comes through, he's able to exit a lot more on that plane line, producing these little baby draws that we saw. So if we now take a look at the front on view and again do the before and after, we can see before at the top of his backswing, he was very much loaded and stuck into his right foot right here. Now, if we take a look at the after, as he swings it back, you can see now we're creating a lot more pivot. We have created that golf ball worth of space. Now, the one thing that we did run through was to make sure that we don't get too lateral too early towards the target. So this is something, again, we spoke about during the lesson, just on how to make sure that we don't overdo the movement pattern. But if we then continue this all the way down into impact, we can see here is the impact before, and if we continue it down into the impact after, we can see a very different look to the pelvis. Pelvis is a lot further forwards here, ended up getting a lot more compression and ultimately a lot more shaft. Now, if you do need more one-to-one help, I offer online coaching on the Skillist platform. No matter where you are in the world, you can get a lesson just like this with myself. And again, I'll leave the link down below, so be sure to check that out. But if you have enjoyed today's video, please give it a like and subscribe, and I hope to see you back here soon.